Does Team Philippines have a chance to win the Asian Games gold even without Jordan Clarkson? Let's talk now to basketball analyst and blogger Sir Enzo Flojo. The Hoopnut is back on the score.
What's up, Don?
Good evening, Sir Enzo, and we are back at it again, talking about the Philippine delegation to the Asian Games. And yes, we are participating. Yun nga lang, hindi matutuloy yung pangarap nating makasama si Jordan Clarkson and makita siyang maglaro with Pilipinas on his chest. But I'm sure you're very happy with this development, Enzo, na magpapadala tayo ng kupunan sa wakas.
Of course. I mean, the last time we were talking about it, we were talking about them pulling out. And now, you know, it's a complete 180. They're playing. And, you know, despite Jordan Clarkson's non-inclusion, which, you know, on every level is disappointing. Yes, it's disappointing. At the very least, we're participating in the Asian Games. And we're sending a team that I think has a really some really good pieces, and they have the potential to make some noise over there in Jakarta.
But of course, there was a lot of drama on Twitter when this was announced, when the NBA released the statement, and some fans were actually citing yung sitwasyon ni Zhuo na naglalaro para sa Houston. He will be playing for China. Could you just shed some light on this issue? Kasi sinasabi ng iba, bakit pinayagan itong si Chi at si Jordan Clarkson, hindi naman pinayagan ng NBA?
Well, you're right, Antonio. The dramatic highs and lows of this team, even before the tournament begins, has been unprecedented. And to your point about Zhou Qi of China, for those who might not know, Zhou Qi is 21 years old, he's 7'2". He's played for the Chinese national team several times already, and he played for the Houston Rockets last year. I think he's in a 3 or 4 year contract with the Rockets. And if we will compare his situation with Jordan Clarkson's, it's really a head scratcher, because like Clarkson, he is under contract in the NBA, but unlike Clarkson, he received the clearance from his team and from the league to play for China in the Asian Games, which is, as reasoned out by the NBA, is a non-FIBA organized event. In fact, the eligibility rules are so different. That's why we'll be able to play Christian Sandhardinger and Maverick Ahamnisi and Stanley Pringle all together on the team. But back to Zhou Qi, based on what I've researched and what I've read online, it seems like, although I haven't seen his contract letter by the letter, it seems like for the Chinese players, even before they start playing in the NBA, there's already a stipulation that they should be allowed to play for their national team at any point in time.
Okay.
I think it all began not even with Yao Ming, but even before him, with Wang Zhizhi, the first Chinese player to play in the NBA. When Wang played in the NBA, I think in the early thousands, it was a big controversy because he had to leave China and leave the Chinese national team program. And then eventually, when Yao Ming came on board in the NBA, I think that's when the stipulation started for the Chinese players. Now, they can only play in the NBA if there's a stipulation saying they can also play for the national team whenever they're called by China to play.
So yun palang pagkakaiba, merong nakalagay sa kontrata ni Chi. Okay.
Yes.
Now that Jordan Clarkson is not playing, and it's really good actually that Jordan Clarkson released his own personal statement about how he wants to one day participate and play for the Philippines, but now hindi muna mangyayari yon. How do you think the Philippines will do even without Jordan Clarkson in this Asian Games?
Well, for a lot of people, this is a very strange Philippine team because you don't have the usual suspects. There's no Jason Castro, no Junmar Fajardo, no Terence Romeo. So many of the familiar faces will not be here. In fact, this is a completely different team compared to the one that's been playing in the Asian qualifiers. However, if you look at how deep the PBA is in terms of talent, ang dami naman talaga natin pwedeng ihugot dito or huguting players. And if you look at maybe the top 7 or 8 guys on this team, you have Pringle, you have Ahamnisi, Chris Chu, James Yap, you have Gabe Norwood, who is the only holdover from the Asian qualifiers team. You have Christian Sandhardinger, you have Poy Eram, Bo Belga. These are pretty elite players in the PBA. So objectively speaking, this is still an elite Philippine national team we're sending to the Asian Games. And I mean, I think a couple of days ago, Tim Cohn even said that, you know, Stanley Pringle is his expected star for this team. And he even said that Pringle could potentially be unguardable in the Asian Games. And there's some merit to that because the way Pringle plays, it's different from the typical Asian player. And no one has seen him play at the Asian level up until this point. So nobody has been able to be familiar with how to guard him and how to scheme him and all those things.
Do you think Coach Yang Yao will give Stanley Pringle the freedom to do his thing on the basketball court and maybe just let him attack and play his game?
I believe so. I believe that. I don't think we're going to see a lot of isolation plays. Definitely not. But I think when push comes to shove, when someone needs to create and facilitate, I think it'll start mainly from Stanley Pringle. If not him, maybe Chris Chu, maybe even Maverick Ahamnisi or Paul Lee. Kasi sanay na si Yang Yao, especially kay Paul Lee, kay Chris Chu. But Pringle, given his skill set and the fact that, like I said, nobody nakakalabanin nila has seen him play in the flesh, that's going to be a big factor, I think.
So there's like a surprise element,
for sure.
An element of surprise para sa Pilipinas with the entry of Stanley Pringle. Are you surprised, though, that Chris Thieu, who was part of the original Gilas squad, has somehow made his way back to the Philippines?
That's actually a very interesting, very nice, full circle kind of story for him and for Asi, both of whom were part of that first iteration of Gilas. So it's a very good, it's a feel-good, come full circle tale for both of them. They started the Gilas story in 2010 in the Asian Games in Guangzhou.
That's right.
And now this is probably going to be their last tour of duty, although with Asi we never know, because it always seems like his last tour of duty with Gilas here in the 2018 Asian Games. But for James Yap also, because the last time he was in the Philippine national team, it was also Yang Yao who was coaching him in 2009. So it's a good, comeback for these guys.
What about Bo Belga? There was one time that he sort of willingly accepted na hindi niya makukuha yung slot niya to be a part of the Philippine team. And now he's part of the lineup. What can you say about the dedication of Belga and his willingness to just do anything for the Philippines?
Well, what you love about Bo is, he seems like a big bully on the court when you watch him in the PBA for rain or shine. But hindi matatawaran ang kanyang loyalty and dedication for flag and country. I mean, when he was included in that 2013 Gilas team, a lot of people felt he's not deserving, he's not big enough, he's not mobile enough, but he did his part. Even if he was cut from that 2013 team that eventually won silver and then marched on to Spain for the World Cup, even if he wasn't part of that active roster, he did everything he could to help that team from where he was, from his standpoint. And the only thing you can do for a guy like that is respect. So
tagal na pala no?
Yeah, sobrang tagal na.
2013 pa pala yun. Wow.
Yes.
All right. Now, when Coach Yang Yao was interviewed about yung hindi na pagsali ni Jordan Clarkson after the announcement by the NBA was made, tinanong siya, sino ang papalit kay Jordan? And he immediately said, Don Trollano.
Yeah.
What do you think the entry of Don Trollano, or what kind of impact will he have with this Philippine team?
I think he'll be a role player for the Philippine team, but he can be a very, very effective or quote-unquote impactful role player for this team. There's no way you can expect him to score 20 points in a game, especially against China and Kazakhstan, and maybe even Korea down the line. But with his skill set, he could be a good 3-and-D player, an athletic perimeter defender that, Yang Yao can use effectively. And Coach Yang loves those kinds of players. I think he could be a good backup for Gabe Norwood at the 3 spot. And I think with tempered expectations, Don Trollano can be effective at this level.
All right, so Sir Enzo, so we pretty much touched on every player. So I gotta go back to our original question to you. May chance ba tayong magka-gold medal dito sa Asian Games in terms of men's basketball?
Well, definitely our chances of getting far are higher than in the qualifiers because there's no Australia, no New Zealand in the Asian Games. A gold medal, I think, is a bit of a stretch. But finishing on the podium with a team that a lot of people don't expect to be there, or a lot of people haven't really scouted or prepared for, I think that can work in our favor. And knowing Coach Yang Yao and how he can motivate his players and really build things up emotionally for them, I think they're going to go further than a lot of people expect. I think they're going to definitely make it past the group stage. And their likely opponent's going to be Korea in the quarterfinals, and I think Korea, I think they can shock Korea in the quarterfinals.
Well, at the end of it all, I'm just happy that we're actually going to be participating.
Oh yeah, for
in
sure,
the Asian
for sure,
Games.
for sure.
Enzo, thank you so much for the time. Talk to you again soon.
Hey everybody, this is Anton Rojas. Subscribe to the ABS-CBN Sports and Action YouTube channel by simply clicking on the bell button for more updates.